G. Erickson. I'm with Stephen Murzin. What's the date today?
The 11th?
This is Stephen G. This is Stephen G. Erickson. It's October 10th, 2007. I'm with Stephen Murzin in Seymour, Connecticut. Stephen, go ahead. We talked earlier. I want you just start your story.
Sure. I'll start with a brief history. I'd hate to say history because it's only been the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
I've always thought that Seymour to be a quiet town. You know, occasionally you hear like the Dukes of Hazzard chase going on, and that's about it. But I was made aware that there was that Homeland Security was operating in the schools here. And that kind of, in a sense, struck a nerve. I just finished working for Homeland Security down at the Hurricane Katrina. And I said, Homeland Security in the schools? Why? You know? And how I heard about it was somebody had mentioned, it was one of the staff members at the middle school that said, that I asked about the security devices used in the school. Are they efficient? Do the doors lock so kids can't leave the school, type of thing, the first graders. And she said, well, why don't you talk to our security director? He's actually part of Homeland Security. And I said, wow, all right, I'll have to set up a meeting. And I'd actually gone into the school immediately. I spoke with the secretary. And I said, yeah, I'm looking for Kearns. Name's Kearns, security guy, Homeland Security. He said, oh yeah. I said, is he really in Homeland Security? She says, yeah, he's a member of Homeland Security. He said, well, I'd like to set up a meeting. And he wasn't available, so I gave him a call back. And he said, oh, well, I'm actually the emergency management planner of the town of Seymour. I don't know where he heard that I was from Homeland Security, right? Yeah. Unless maybe he would be bragging about something like that.
There's a police officer that's assigned to Seymour schools, full-time? Uniformed officer with a gun?
Not non-uniformed officers, plain clothes with a gun and badge. Yeah.
In a school?
Yeah.
That's high school?
That's a high school. He also patrols, he'll make stops at the middle school and, from what I gather, elementary as well.
So, there was a girl that passed a note that that she uninvited some other girl to a party. Elaborate on that if you could.
Absolutely. Apparently, there was a girl who was handicapped in the school. Now, I don't know the extent of the handicapped. It could be much like mental handicap, or I don't know whether it's physical or not. But she does take the same classes as everyone else. So, what I had heard was that there was an incident. I had spoken to the parents who were involved as well.
What's the girl's name?
The girl's name is Gabrielle.
Gabrielle what?
I can't recall the last name.
Is that the one that John Schoenhorn, the lawyer out of Hartford, the civil rights lawyer, is handling the case?
No, that's Emily Mancy.
Yeah.
Who's a friend of Gabrielle.
Yeah.
Now the child with the handicap was wearing a shirt that said, "Put your hand here," and it had an outline of a hand on her shirt on the back.
Uh-huh.
So the girl Gabrielle did it. She put her hand on her, and the child was offended or felt threatened by it and made a complaint. Well, sure enough, the girl was arrested and suspended for, I believe, 5 days. She was invited to a party. Both girls were invited to a party.
Yes.
Okay. Emily was hosting the party, and I believe it was for Halloween. And Emily heard about the trouble that the girl, her friend, had gotten into, and she also was aware that the handicapped girl had pretty much initiated what had happened with the being arrested and suspended. So,
the interrogation. The first girl's name is that you were just talking about?
The first girl is Gabrielle.
Gabrielle.
Yeah.
Is that the one that was in the back room without parents, accused of being lesbian? Was she under arrest at that point, or?
Her, I haven't had a chance to speak with her parents yet. From what I gather, The parents actually were able to speak with the guy in charge of security there, Rich Kearns, and Rich Kearns was very offensive and got up in the father's face and said, "This is my house, and I say what goes on in my house." And they're from Argentina, I believe, and they didn't know what to think, and they left. And I'm sure, and what they did was they assumed this will all blow over. Okay, now Emily is the girl that you're referring to.
Yeah. She
had actually put out a note, which is a retraction of an invitation. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the note was to uninvite students because of the problem, and I thought that was a pretty responsible thing to do. She gave the note to the handicapped girl and said, I can't quote what she said, but it was something along the lines of, because of that incident that happened, I don't think it's a good idea that you come to the party.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Next thing you know, Emily's called into an office, the main office, where she's met by the principal and the security officer, Rich Kearns. They take her into his office, which I witnessed for the first time today, which is kind of like a small office, 3 large windows from the bottom to the ceiling that are have shades drawn.
Yeah.
She was brought in there. She was in the room for a little over an hour, being interrogated by policemen.
Is this the girl that was allegedly touched inappropriately or touched allegedly inappropriately?
No. The handicapped girl was the one that was touched.
So what did this girl do then?
This girl had, the only thing that she had done was uninvite a handicapped girl from a party. And the girl, I don't know if she cried or felt bad, but went to the teachers and complained about it. So they pulled Emily into the office. They wanted the note. Emily said, the note's at home. I don't have the note. So they took her to a locker where they emptied it out and took her back to the office, went through her purse, backpack, pulled all the notes out that they can.
So they just searched her stuff without a warrant. I mean,
there's no probable cause for a crime even.
So who did the searching? The police?
The security guard.
Security guard.
Right.
Is he police or no?
He's not police. He's
an alleged Homeland Security guy?
He's the alleged Homeland Security guard. Now, I did find out that he was a police officer, and he was also a corrections officer in a juvenile facility.
His full name?
Richard Kearns.
Richard Kearns, K-E-R-N-S?
K-E-A-R-N-E-S.
Okay.
Okay. And 6'5", very intimidating. And I had the pleasure of meeting him today. Now, I can just imagine being a 13-year-old girl in a room like this.
So he's the 13-year-old girl's in the room with the Homeland Security guy, 6'5",
yeah.
Police, and a principal,
yeah.
and who else?
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
And is the interview for her to be arrested, or what's the?
The interview, from what I gather, was just to have a little circus of humiliation because, for one, she had already stated that she didn't have the note. The note was at home with her mom, and she had told them that you can call my mom, and she'll be more than happy to bring the note in. Well, that wasn't good enough for them, so they searched her possessions.
Was she accused of being a lesbian?
Well, they read her notes, and they read them in where they it was like a joke. They said, "Ooh, this is interesting. Let's put this in this goes to the mommy pile." And this note, let's put this into this goes to this teacher's pile. And by the way, are you a lesbian? That type of thing. These were girl-to-girl notes.
Who told you this?
The mother as well as the daughter, Emily. Okay. And the next thing, she gets so embarrassed by this. Now this is an hour into it. She has no representation, no parent there, not a lawyer, no teachers on her side, no one.
So what crime is she accused of committing?
Nothing. Up to this point, nothing.
Okay. So she's being verbally tortured and humiliated. So what happens then?
Well, she loses. She becomes frightened. Now she's worried about notes that were in her purse and her backpack. She grabs the notes off the table and tears them up.
Yep.
At which point the security officer claims assault.
So a 13-year-old is accused of assaulting a Homeland Security or a police officer.
Who knows? You know?
So this is a Homeland Security, what, she's going to fly a plane into a building or what?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. He claimed assault immediately.
Uh-huh.
And she was going to be, then the parents were called, right, after that. So they told her that she was going to be arrested for assault. And what had happened was she spoke with the officer, Officer Dietrich, and he had said, given her a summons for disorderly conduct. Now, if she was told assault, and the security officer claims assault because she lunged at him.
At the notes or at the...
He claims him.
6'5"?
6'5", yeah.
And she's 13, how big is she?
She might be bigger than 6'5".
So she's just probably about midsection, so...
Yeah. Across the table.
And, he felt intimidated and afraid where he'd been assaulted.
Yeah. Enough to tell the policeman to arrest her for assault. The policeman who was there witnessing the whole entire thing. And
I wonder if they could keep a straight face doing that.
I don't know. I wonder if he had maybe an accident or something. You know, there comes a time where kids you don't feel threatened by kids. Then that's the time when you become a mature adult and you look at yourself as a mentor. And
so was handcuffs placed on her in the school interrogation room?
No, absolutely not. There were no handcuffs there. She was given a written summons and told, this is just nothing. It'll go away. It's like a slap on the wrist. And mother didn't even know it was an arrest. Okay? Until she called me. And I invited her over and she told me the story. What happened. I said, that's an arrest.
So what did you know? You went to the school?
Yeah.
What happened when you went to school?
I went to the school to meet with Rich Kearns. Wanted to ask him a couple of questions as a concerned parent and a taxpayer. When you hear, rumors of security guards getting students arrested and bullying students, you get concerned because it can happen to innocent kids. And technically, all kids are innocent, especially to bullying. And I met with him, and we sat down in the office. I was in the office with him, a policeman, which was Officer Dietrich, and another gentleman who didn't introduce himself. Okay. And he said, so what's on your mind? I said, well, to be honest, rumors are going around that Rich Kearns bullies students and gets them arrested, and it kind of concerns me. He says, well, define the term bullying. And he looks over at Officer Dietrich. And Dietrich goes, yeah, define bullying. I said, well, we're all adults here. We don't have to define bullying. But I think we can put it in the same category as a lot of other things. And he's like, what? I said, well, harassment, sexual harassment, racism, stalking. I said, the difference between all of those acts and bullying is that when somebody is racist towards you, you have a whole race to back you up. When somebody sexually harasses you, you have a whole gender to back you up. But when a teacher or a staff member of a school bullies you, you're by yourself. You have nobody to back you up. Students stay away from you. Teachers don't want anything to do with you, and you're marked for the entire time you're in the school. He said, well, there's no bullying going on. Bullying takes time. It takes offense to happen. It's done over a long period of time. I said, absolutely not. I said, you can be bullied one time. And he says, well, you're wrong. And by the way, I know what your motive is. I know what you're all about. I heard all about you. So why don't you get off their property before I have you arrested? I said, well, you can't have me arrested. I haven't committed a crime. As far as I knew, in order to be arrested, there had to be probable cause of a crime.
Yes.
And he looks over at Deitch, he says, arrest him. He doesn't want to get off the property, arrest him.
So you were thought you were imminently going to be arrested?
Absolutely.
For what?
I couldn't, that was, well, when I thought about it, I said, for what? And then thinking about it, I said, well, technically, judging by the history, these guys will just arrest you for anything. Will make something up. Which came later to find out that they were making up things. The officer said, yeah, okay. And he gets up and starts coming towards me. And I told Kearns, I said, I'm a taxpayer. I'm a parent, a concerned parent. I said, the taxpayers pay your salary. In a sense, you answer to us. You work for us. He says, I don't work for anybody. He doesn't work for anybody. Okay?
Yeah.
So at that time, I got up. I backed out of the door. And I was into the hallway. And I headed towards the main office desk. Mm-hmm. And at the desk, I wanted to make an appointment with the principal. And he said, leave the property now. If you come onto the property again, you'll be arrested. If you call my office again, you'll be arrested.
What was your tone of voice, and what reason would they have? Just because they didn't want to answer questions, because they're afraid that you might get them in trouble? What was the? Why would they want you arrested?
I would imagine that, well, if I were in their shoes, and there was a concerned taxpayer wondering how I practice. So
they had like a secret Homeland Security little thing going on where you might, national security might be breached if, you found out, how they were punishing kids at the school with their Homeland Security little detail.
Yeah, they have a nice little operation going there. The office looked great, 3 desks in the office. They had police stickers in the window.
The taxpayers are paying for all this.
I can't imagine how much.
They probably need more help now. Arrest more parents, more kids.
And the school just keeps asking for more money,
What events caused police to be needed at Seymour, or an excuse, or Homeland Security?
Maybe someone had pointed a finger at someone else. Who knows? I think they've had a cop patrol the schools now for 6 years. I don't know how long they've had a policeman in the school. I have no idea why. I think the chances of you being shot in the school are better. You have a better chance of getting struck by lightning than that happening. And there's nothing that goes on in school.
So it's just an average school?
Sorry?
Average school?
Average school. I think it's got a great athletics department. The school itself was they just added a huge addition. I think like a $40 million addition, which is what I call the prison part, because it looks like a prison when you walk in. There's balconies and turrets.
What does Seymour consider? Is it like middle class, upper middle class, lower class?
Seymour's a good mix. I don't even think anybody even looks at class in the town. Everyone, seems very nice to everyone. I don't.
So some people from around the country watching this video, what would be the racial mix? That's something that would determine.
Well, I'd say it's not like the city. It's still a rural town, 13,000 people.
Yes.
Okay. I couldn't.
So there aren't really a lot of minorities.
There aren't a lot of minorities. There is definitely diversity. There are a lot of foreigners that live in the town.
Are there Muslims that?
Not that I've seen. I can't say for certain.
The urban schools that are primarily minorities, I think they're abused by police, etc. in the schools, but
I might have to argue that one. Now, I grew up in Hartford.
Yeah.
Right. I went to the Hartford Public Schools.
Yep.
Never thought I needed the police in there. I was the minority in the school. And I never thought to myself, God, why don't they have cops in the school here? I never saw anybody get arrested. Mm-hmm. Occasionally you see the fight.
Yeah.
But for the 3 years I went to high school there, none. No, it was just like elementary school and middle school. No different. As a matter of fact, I remember when the Gulf War was going on, I was in high school, and the whole student body went and protested or marched around the school on their own to support the troops. Mm-hmm. So for a diverse school like that, in the city, it was fine.
Your wife, daughter, and baby are home. I'll take a little break here.
All right. Baby, can you give me some makeup real quick?
No, but move my pill bottle right there.
What pill bottle?
Behind you.
What for?
I don't want people to see that.
The psychotic meds, yeah.
Those are steroids.
It is.
So, okay, go ahead.
All right. Now, the day that Emily gets arrested,
Yep.
there was a kid who had stolen a wrap out of the cafeteria.
A wrap?
A sandwich wrap.
Yeah.
Right? And he got caught.
So, how many decades in prison did this criminal get?
He got worse than that, okay?
Humiliated and suspended for 5 days.
Yeah, well, they suspended him for 5 days. Thanks, Kim.
Yeah.
They suspended him for 5 days.
Yeah.
But before they did that, they had him sat at a desk. He was hunched over on the desk. The kid was hungry, okay?
Embarrassing.
Now, the vice principal, I believe it was the vice principal and Rich Kearns, the security guy, grabbed the sandwich from him,
Yeah.
and they taunt him.
Yeah.
They didn't pay for this. Now, this is part of an investigation, this sandwich, right?
Yeah.
Technically,
Yeah.
it was stolen property.
Yeah.
He says, boy, this sandwich is the best sandwich I've ever had. I bet you'd like a sandwich, bite of this sandwich, right? And he looks over at the vice principal. He says, yeah, I'll take a bite of that sandwich.
No, that's not what happened. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Just,
He was asking the kid, do you want to try it? And he bit it. The sandwich. Kearns did.
That's what I just said.
so he's tampering with evidence.
I said he took a bite. Says this is the best sandwich I ever had. Then he offered a bite to the vice principal. Okay,
Yeah.
they're taunting him
Yeah.
and waving the sandwich in front of him. They said, "What's the matter? Is mommy, daddy poor?"
They
Can't-
actually,
they can't-
the Seymour policeman took a bite of the sandwich.
Oh, and the Seymour Dimitri took a bite of the sandwich too. That's what they did to this kid, and they suspended him for 5 days. Okay, that's torturing a kid
For being poor.
for being poor.
We shouldn't have stolen the sandwich, but
Absolutely not.
But
And
you
if
know-
I was his parent, they'll definitely give him what for, and then I go after the principals and find out why that's going on. You know, I mean, this. But the thing is that they didn't do this in a room. They did this in front of the students in the cafeteria. There were students that witnessed that, and one of the students that witnessed it got arrested that day.
For
Disorderly conduct for lunging or attempting to assault Mr. Kearns,
the 13-year-old girl. Like
the 13-year-old girl. Yeah, yeah, she witnessed that.
Amazing.
It is.
Amazing. So
It's like,
I'm just trying to get this back straight.
okay.
Sorry.
Okay. What? Does anybody complain about the Kearns or the police officer or anybody?
Well, like I said, Gabrielle was the first one that we know. These are all freshmen. They've only been, this is their first year in high school. As a matter of fact, it's the beginning of the year. A couple
Yeah.
weeks into it, they've had these arrests. Their parents went in to speak with Kearns. They were scared when they left.
I can understand suspensions and detentions. I mean, kids have to learn, but 13 years old and arrested and interrogated. I mean, having your property searched, they're terrorizing kids.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be there to protect them, right?
Yeah. I guess they're teaching them early. You live in a police state.
Yeah.
And your life is going to suck if you, in any way, challenge authority.
Yeah. And they learn that at an early age. You're right.
Yeah.
You know, and basically what they're learning is that life's going to suck when you grow up. You know.
Yeah. Pay your fines and like it.
Yeah. Don't fight back because we'll come after your family. We'll park a police car across the street from your house so we can watch it all day. That's what they'll do. You know. And they won't stop until the taxpayers stand up and do something about it. You know.
Do you think that your stepdaughter is a target for your acts, your complaining?
Absolutely. I believe that. Well, I knew from the get-go if I got myself involved in this whole bullying thing, that there could be repercussions. I knew that if I stood up, there's a chance that my daughter could fall victim to this security officer, policeman, and the staff of the school. And they specifically asked twice who my child was. And the first time I told them, I said, well, that's not important. And the second time I said, you know, my child has a right to privacy. And I'd like to keep that information private. And it has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now.
What's happening on Monday?
Monday, there's a Board of Education meeting
Yeah.
at the middle school. I have an appointment with the superintendent of schools at 3:30.
Do you feel that you might be arrested?
I think there could be a possibility. I was told today by I had the superintendent call me today because I wanted to find out if I was allowed on school grounds. Because remember, they threatened me with the arrest. And she had told me, well, yeah, you're allowed on school grounds, just don't interact with security. Don't ask any questions, don't talk to them, don't call them. You deal with me. You can't
Deal with me, meaning who?
the superintendent.
And who's that?
It's Miss, I think it's Marion Malakala.
At the Seymour High School?
Right. No, the super, right, I can't go onto the the grounds of the high school.
You're not allowed on the grounds?
No, not allowed on school property. I'm not allowed to call the school or call Richard Kearns. Now, when I spoke to the superintendent...
And that's just from this incident?
That's just from this incident. I've never had any problems with any of the staff members in the school here. You know, nothing. As a matter of fact, you know, my daughter's, this is her first year in high school. You know, I've never had any problems with anyone.
Okay, we'll take a little...
I'm sorry.
No, it's
This is
okay.
it.
Fine.
I'll be done after
When
this.
you have babies, it's okay. Okay, we're back. What were we talking about?
Superintendent.
Yeah.
So I spoke to the superintendent on the phone, and I thought, okay, this is a good person to speak with. This is someone who's going to listen to my concerns.
Yeah.
She's not going to be biased.
Yeah.
And she automatically took the side of the security guard. She said, well, let me interrupt for a second, but from what Richard Kearns told me is that you were a bully in that office, that you bullied him, that you asked him the definitions for the word bullying and sexual harassment and racism. All the things that he said to me, he told her I said to him, that he was in fact being bullied there. And the reason why he threatened to arrest me was because I was asked to leave the property and I didn't after business was conducted. So I said, that's exactly what happened in reverse. I said, because I wasn't bullying anyone. I was calm, I was collect, I knew I had an agenda, and I didn't even get 5 minutes into it when he lost his bearing completely. He lost his bearing. He was like, you know, he was so amazed that I came into his office and asked him questions about his procedures while he's working in the schools.
On the, is that Kearns or the police officer?
Kearns.
Yeah.
Now, I couldn't have a one-on-one conversation, which is what I wanted. They had to keep interacting with he had to keep going back and forth with the policeman. Anything I'd say, he'd look at the policeman and discuss it with him, not with me.
Was that to intimidate you, in your opinion?
I think to intimidate and to try and humiliate me. You know, any question they asked me.
So you're a criminal. Get out of the school. Get away from children.
Right. I was automatically dubbed a criminal there. That's how I felt. You know, I felt like I was some scum. You know, like scum of the earth. You know, I was like, these are people I expect that I leave in charge of my daughter 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
All right. Kearns, you said something about, we know who you are.
Yeah.
What was he referring to?
He was referring to the Board of Education meeting that I went to.
And what happened there?
I went to the Board of Education meeting to inquire about the policies and procedures and the regulation of the security and police in the school. The policies and procedures, I focus more on bullying, student-to-student bullying, and staff-to-student bullying.
So what were your suggestions?
My suggestions were that there should be a policy in place to monitor and prevent staff-to-student bullying. There was already a policy and procedure in place from student to student. From what I gather, there still hasn't been a policy for staff-to-student bullying. And I had asked the superintendent on the phone today, is there a policy? She says, I'll send you all the policies in the mail. I said, can I specifically have the policies that grant the school staff the right to search, pat down a student without the probable cause of a crime, without the complaint of a crime even, and without a complainant? She said, well, you know, I'll have that all, it's all written down in the policies and procedures manual, and I'll mail it out to you. I said, well, let me ask you, do students have the same basic rights as you know, adults? Or any other rights, any other citizens? She said, yeah. I said, so they have the same constitutional rights as everyone else, whether on off school grounds or on school. She says, well, as a matter of fact, in the school they don't. School works differently. They don't have the same rights as other citizens.
So they're not American school, they're in an American school.
No, they're Wildcats. I think that's what they're called, Seymour Wildcats. You know.
What, the sports team?
Yeah. You know. I asked her. I said, is the school a different country from the United States, where certain zones in the Connecticut you don't have rights? So if I walk into the school, do I also lose my rights? She couldn't answer that question. I said, but you're suggesting that when you're in the school, you don't have the same rights as Americans. So now I'm wondering, if I was told to leave the property and now I'm going to be arrested if I don't, if I had lost my rights, and I did, and I'd like to know how that happened. You know, I lost my rights. I was a student in that school, as far as the way I was being treated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we'll find out what rights they have. I can see a search seizure, you know, pat down, search of a locker and a purse. If there's probable cause of a crime, there's a complainant. You know, you never know. Drugs, gun, you know, weapon, whatever. Sure, that makes sense. But when they abuse that power, that's scary. It could ruin a child's life. This is you know, children in schools, they're very influenced. Being arrested at 13.
On the YouTube version of this, if you click more information, there'll be a website with more information. So that, as with all my YouTube videos. Let's talk about, you were stabbed 13 times?
Yeah, no, 13 times. Lucky number.
What was this?
That was in 1994. I was in the Marine Corps, home on leave.
Yeah.
I witnessed 2 cops beating a handcuffed man in the parking lot of a McDonald's.
Who was that individual?
That was Phil Inkle. I didn't know him at the time.
All right. And why was Phil Inkle being beaten? Was it the Colchester McDonald's?
Colchester McDonald's, yeah.
Yeah.
These were 2 resident constables. Same as the cops. They call them constables there. He was screaming for help. Somebody help me. Somebody help me. They're just beating on him. You know. He was sitting on the ground, has his legs crossed, Indian style. They're beating him.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, what is this? You know, I've never seen anything like this. I grew up in the city and I never saw anything like that, okay?
Yeah.
And I went home that night and I told my father, who was a cop at the time, I said, Dad, this is what I saw at the McDonald's.
Yeah.
I feel uncomfortable about it. What do you think I should do? He says, well, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know. I need to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was only 19, you know. I spent less than a year living in that town. Didn't know anybody, really.
Yeah.
Never been in trouble. And I called the state police, make a complaint. They said, well, it's good to hear there's citizens out there that care, you know. We appreciate you calling us. We want to keep you informed and posted. What's your name? I gave him my name. You know,
your address.
Yeah, I gave him my address, my telephone number.
Yeah.
A little while later, I don't remember exactly how many days, the cops come to my house.
Yeah.
One of the cops happens to be the cop that I made a complaint against, Nardella. Charles, Jimmy Nardella. James, yeah.
And Charles Scott Thomas, is that right?
Charles Scott Thomas, he didn't actually arrest me at my home. Nardella came with a state trooper.
Yes.
Okay? And the state trooper Nardella came in, they arrested me in my home. Then they arrested my brother at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they arrested us on a breach of peace charge.
Uh-huh.
Some kid who was an informant said that I hit him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm like, Mom, Dad, don't worry about it. I didn't do anything. I'll go with them. You know, I'll fill out a statement. And they arrested me.
Yeah.
You know.
Did they arrest your brother too?
They said, oh, by the way, Ian, you can come with us too.
What is Ian accused of doing?
They didn't say. It was almost an afterthought.
So they arrested your brother. Did he make any complaints about police, or did he do anything?
He, as a matter of fact, come to find out. You want to stop?
No, it's okay. It's just take the time.
Jay, hurry up, sweetie. You gotta go to bed. You know, all of this information, what I'm going to tell you now, I wasn't aware of. Okay? Phil Inkle had been having problems with the police back and forth.
Yeah.
His civil rights were being violated. He was being harassed, stalked by policemen. So he was putting a list together of witnesses.
Yeah.
Okay? People who have had these kind of interactions with the police as well. And my brother's name was on that list. Okay?
Uh-huh. So did the police, they tracked him down, and did they steal his paperwork?
Yes,
and
they
his
did.
file?
They did. And my brother's name was on that list.
So they took the list of people that had complaints about police.
Yeah. That had
They
made statements with Phil.
They had confiscated the material.
Right.
And we haven't got your daughter on the footage at all.
Okay. Jay, you gotta go in the other one, sweetie.
All right. So you and Ian are arrested.
We're arrested. And we're brought to the, as a matter of fact, I rode with Nardella, Jimmy Nardella. He threw me in the front seat. And my brother, he went with the state trooper. Now, the first thing Nardella says was, he said, you should have never made a complaint, or you should have never put your nose in the business, or I can't recall, a long time ago, you know.
And you shouldn't involve yourself in a police beating. They're beating who they want when they want.
Right, pretty much. He says, you're a Marine, man. He goes, I know you want to be a cop, you know. He says, what are you doing, you know? And I'm thinking to myself, so this is what this is about. Maybe I shouldn't have let them take me so easy, you know?
Yeah.
So we get to the police station. I'm looking out the window, and guess who's waiting, leaning up against this car just like this?
Who?
Charles Thomas. The other
Charles
cop.
Scott Thomas?
Yeah, the other cop I made a complaint against.
Was he worked at the Whiting Institute or something?
Yeah, I guess he was a security officer or some kind of a...
So he was, Charles Scott Thomas was what? Allegedly beating the clients of this institution?
Yeah, he was beating the clients, right.
So they promoted him to police officer who could beat citizens?
They promoted him to police officer. From what I gather, he failed the drug test, too.
Really?
Okay, so I don't know who he knows. Okay, or maybe they like that. It might be something good to put on your resume.
Yeah, I do drugs on duty.
I do drugs and I beat the crap out of innocent people.
Promote me to sergeant.
Right.
Okay, so continue.
Well, so that just confirmed the fate of my night right there when I saw Charles Scott Thomas with a big smile on his face.
So you and your brother were beaten mercilessly all night long?
Yeah. I didn't see what happened to my brother because I was pulled out of the cell to be interrogated in a room about not what I was being arrested for, but about what I saw that night.
Were you in handcuffs?
I was in handcuffs, yeah. In the room, they took the handcuffs off because he wanted to square down. He wanted to fight me. You know.
There were no cameras or video or audio in the interrogation.
Not that I noticed. I noticed cameras in the hallway. Okay, so
so they brought you in a room that they didn't have cameras.
That's right.
So
And that's the first thing I looked for when I got in the room. Looked for a camera. You know.
So what officer were you with?
James Nardella, and Charles Scott Thomas.
Was there a state trooper there too? Connecticut state trooper?
There was a state trooper up in the holding area. Yeah.
Who was that?
That was, I believe, Trooper Cook.
I don't know.
Yeah, Trooper Cook, who was really polite. I really, you know, he I guess what he did was the paperwork part.
So what officers beat you?
Charles Scott Thomas.
How did he start? Did he just start hitting you?
He, I remember he had taken his badge off. He said, well, now, he says, I'm off duty. you know, or something like that. And he came right at me right away. It was like, there wasn't even a chance. I was uncuffed.
Were you beaten unconscious?
Yeah, I was beaten unconscious. Yeah. I was hit so many times. It was like, it felt like it was almost all over my body. You know, I was being hit. I was on my back.
Were they kicking you on the ground?
Yeah.
Okay, so then...
and he said, get up, and then I go to get up, and he hit me right back down.
So you made a police misconduct complaint?
Yeah.
Against the two Colchester officers? Did you make a complaint against the state officer as well?
I didn't make a complaint against the state trooper, no. There was a complaint made against the trooper that had beaten my brother. Yeah.
So the Connecticut State Police officer beat your brother?
Yeah.
Did they choke him unconscious where he may have actually died and then was revived?
Right. No.
So has he ever been the same since?
Never. He that was it. He didn't even finish high school. He was a kid when that happened.
So just because you made a complaint, they choked your brother until possibly he died.
Yeah.
He was revived, and he's never been the same.
Never. No.
Okay, so you made a police misconduct complaint. What did the police officers do?
The police officers, what do you mean, what they did in what sense?
No, I'm saying, did they...
They were suspended with pay, okay? It was after I had an attorney and a press conference. FMAC Buckley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They paid an informant $10,000 cash.
Yeah.
Who was that?
That was Todd Vachon.
That was Sean?
Yeah.
And so he went and he made a statement and he implicated the police officers in trying to pay to have you killed.
Right. Me and Phil Inkle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was paid and then he got cold feet and...
Now, I'm home on Marine recruiting duty now, okay?
Yeah.
And
That was then.
And I went to my boss, my sergeant, and said, you have to go to a graduation in uniform. One of the kids from high school is graduating. He's going to boot camp soon.
Yeah.
He said, look sharp, you know. Went up there, full dress blues, you know. And this kid, Joe Drum, comes up to me and goes, Steve, I got to talk to you. I said, sure, what's going on? He said, well, I don't know how to say this, but the cops, Nardella and Thomas, hired Todd Vachon to kill you. Kill you and Phil Inkle. And I thought it was a joke. I said, get out of town. He said, I'm just letting you know. All right? I said, yeah, well, thanks for telling me. And that was it. Then after that, I was able to make contact with Todd Vachon through the attorneys. And he made a statement. He said, yeah. He was told, you know, make him disappear. We'll pay for you. We'll pay for you. They had all sorts of plans. You're going to go pick up a truck down south. You're going to steal the truck and drive it up here. You're going to hit Phil Inkle.
Cops are telling somebody to steal a vehicle to kill somebody.
They're going to steal it. Town Vachon was supposed to steal a vehicle, a truck from down south, drive it up here, hit Phil Inkle off his bike to kill him, pour alcohol all over the driver's wheel, etc., and then disappear. They're going to pay for him to go away. Okay, that's how they're going to do him.
Where are they going to get the money? Where do these police officers get the money? They
took it right out of the bank. One time we actually witnessed it. They paid him off. He said, I need some money right now.
Are they stealing money from drug dealers, dealing drugs? Where are these police officers getting all this money to pay to have people killed?
Who knows? Maybe people that are paying for protection? Who knows?
So they're a gang.
Definitely cowboys. You know?
All right. So lead up to the part where you were stabbed 13 times.
All right. So now the case is big. I mean, it's pretty public.
It was on the news.
It was on the news.
Channel 8, Channel 30.
Yeah. Every station had it. Hartford Current had it. I was still on recruiting duty. And I get a call at the office from some kid, Rob Pravetti, wants to join the Marines. Right? This is a kid I went to high school with. He's a junior, I think, at the time. And I said, sure, let's meet up, let's talk. I told my boss about it. He said, yeah. He said, you know, because every person I get in, you know, counts towards a promotion, okay? Mm-hmm. So I'm working on getting him into the Corps. Little did I know that he have, I don't know, steel plate in his leg, pins.
So he had no hope of becoming a...
Absolutely not. He knew he couldn't join. And anybody knows they can't join when you have metal in your body like that,
So what was his purpose of...
Well, what had happened was, I didn't know he was an informant for the police at the time, okay? And I saw him in the parking lot of a laundromat. He's like, Steve, he goes, help me out, man. He goes, I'm going to see my girlfriend.
Yeah.
But these kids bother me over there. You want to come hang out? I said, yeah. I said, I'll talk to him to give you a problem, And that's how I was. I always felt words were more powerful than anything,
Yeah.
Sure enough, I get down there, there's his girl's there or whatever, and there's a bunch of kids, maybe 12, 13, And I'm not feeling aggressive at all, and I definitely don't feel any aggression from anybody else.
Yeah.
The next thing I know, somebody comes out of the dark wearing a hoodie, black hoodie. Couldn't see his face.
Who did it turn out to be?
I can't think of the kid's name, to be honest.
I have a post with his name and his criminal record. He was a felon on probation, and he stabbed you 13 times, and he stabbed 2 others a number of times.
Was it Dave?
I'll post the name. So.
All right, it's at the tip of my tongue.
Nelson, is it?
No.
No.
He had come out of just out of the dark,
Yep.
And he started stabbing me, and we wrestled and fought. And I didn't know I got stabbed, I thought he was punching.
So you went unconscious?
Yeah, at some point. I had lost a lot of blood there. I went unconscious for just a brief moment. He was gone. My buddy was like, get in the car, I got to take you to the emergency room. I said, for what? He said, look at you. And I got open wounds like that on my body, Can you get that? Like this.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah.
I had a sliced from the top of my neck
Yep.
all the way down the middle of my back. Okay. I said, take me to my parents' house. I said, just in case I don't make it, I want to see him.
So now you're going to die?
Yeah.
All right. So you went to...
Getting cold and everything,
So you went to the hospital. What happened to you when you woke up in the hospital?
I was getting stitches.
Yeah.
Apparently I'd gone into shock. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I was getting stitched. The doctor sewed me up. Said you're going to be all right. And next thing I know, the cops are there. They're there to take me in.
What cops?
State police.
State police.
Yeah.
Connecticut State Police are there to arrest you for being stabbed.
For being stabbed.
And then waking up alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
And they took me right down to the state police station where I was beaten.
Again?
Yeah.
With stitches?
Yeah. Right after the hospital.
What Connecticut State Police officers beat you?
None. The Colchester police. I wasn't beaten that night.
Oh.
No. That was the night I was stabbed.
Yeah.
They arrested me for being stabbed. Okay.
Yeah.
Took me down to the state police barracks where I was beaten.
Yeah.
So I'm
Troop K.
okay. My dad said, "Don't worry about nothing. I'm coming with you."
Yeah.
Which put my mind at ease. And they interviewed me. I was charged, I think, with a breach of peace,
Yeah.
disorderly conduct. I can't even.
Were you facing possible prison time?
Absolutely.
For being stabbed.
For being stabbed.
And you almost died.
Almost died. Yeah.
And you have permanent scarring.
Yeah, permanent scarring. Definitely not something that I like to show.
Uh-huh.
Something that every time I look in the mirror when I get out of the shower or something,
Yep.
there's always a reminder. Terrible.
So you how long did you feel that you were going to be put in jail for this? I mean, what length of time before there was possible court?
At that point, I never thought about going to jail. At that point, I thought about surviving.
No, what I'm saying, like you had charges on you that had a possible jail term.
Yeah. Well, there was also the breach of peace that I was initially arrested on, where the night I got beaten up by the cops.
So you're a repeat criminal.
Yeah.
For beating police officers with your face. You beat their fists.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You can't say it any better than that. I was a complainant. They don't like that.
So that's 1994.
1994, yeah.
And do you feel that you are still a target of police?
Every time I leave my house.
Do you feel that your brother, your father, and your family is still a target of the Connecticut State Police and Colchester and other officers in Connecticut?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that. I always have the feeling that when I go out, what if I get pulled over and a cop had heard about me? Now you're going back 1994, how many years ago now? You know,
Well, I mean, have any police officers referred to it and mocked you at all, or at court, or anybody?
Yeah, court one time.
What was said and where and who?
I don't know who it was. It was a sheriff. He had told me. He said, "We didn't treat you so bad in here, did we?" And I said, "No." And then I thought about it. I was like, "What does he mean? I never talked to anybody about anything in the courts." It's like he knew who I was. He's an older guy. He must have been in his 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I think all these guys know. You know, all the cops, state police. They could have a list, just like Felinkel had a list. Or maybe they have his list. Who knows?
Ken Krajewski, he was the campaign manager for the rival for governor, the Green Party candidate, I guess, something Thornton.
Mm-hmm.
He was on Connecticut State Police secret enemies list.
Really?
And so he was, have you heard about it at all, or no?
No, nothing at all.
So he was snapping pictures of Rel during a parade, and they arrested him.
Oh, I heard about that case. Yeah. Unbelievable. You know? Is there? There was a time where somebody saw my picture posted up on the wall at the state police barracks over the desks, and they're throwing darts at it or something. You know? What kind of crap is that?
I've heard that about me, but
Yeah.
But I guess that it could be a rumor, or it could be hard to prove sometimes. Well, anyway.
It is, absolutely. And, so when I see it happen to somebody else, it brings you right back home. It's like you're right back to where that happened to you. You know what the person's going through. You know that the odds are against them. You know.
All right. Your father owned a home
Yeah.
prior to this happening?
Yeah.
Does he own a home now?
No.
He was a police officer that was well regarded before this incident.
He was my hero.
What happened to your father after the incidents? What happened to him? Did they torpedo his career?
Absolutely. They arrested him.
They arrested him for what?
I don't know what the charge was. Maybe some kind of minor larceny.
Was that for driving his unmarked cruiser home for lunch?
Yeah, he would come home for lunch just like any other cop. I think even the cops here do it.
Yeah.
Come home for lunch.
So for the gas it took to go home, just to eat. I mean, cops go wherever they want, do whatever they want. But I guess if their family or somebody else, when they're being retaliated against, then they go after cops for just about anything.
Yeah. It's not. I don't think it's just with cops. I think it works like that with the DOC too.
Yeah. So has your father suffered? I mean, emotionally.
My father was so affected and let down by his department.
Yeah.
That if it were me, it'd be the first thing I think about when I wake up in the morning.
So it was probably for 5 years. You're just at least living in a haze of anger, if not still.
Yeah. Now you're talking. My father was a fantastic policeman, fantastic father as well, and for them to do that to him, for doing what other father would not take their sons back and help them out and protect them? That's all he did. They went after him for it. They show no mercy,
Unbelievable.
And you want to know the funny thing? After I finished my tour in the Marines, my whole plan was to go into the police force, right? I thought there could be no bad cops. The cop is the job to have for me, and go ahead.
Did Ian want to be a police officer?
Absolutely. We both wanted to be policemen.
Did police officers call the high school. You went to what high school after Colchester?
I went to Colchester High School for my senior year.
Okay. And Ian went to what school did he transfer to?
He transferred to Weathersfield High School.
So did police officers call the principal's office to keep him from dating a girl and then to intimidate him into quitting school?
That was both of us.
Really?
That was in Colchester. This is before any of this ever happened. We were new students.
Yeah.
And we're from the city, from Hartford.
Yeah. Any
girl that I went out with, or for a majority of them, the principal would call their parents and say, "This is who your daughter's dating, just so you know." I advise that you keep your daughter away from them. Now remember, nobody knows who I am.
Yeah.
The teachers, I'm a new student to them.
Yeah.
Never been in trouble in that town.
Uh-huh.
And they did the same thing to my brother. And we became victims from the day we moved into that town. And to get back to my point, the thing is that we were oblivious to all these things.
Yep.
We were just like everybody else, okay?
Uh-huh.
And I say everybody else is because the only way to experience this is to be a victim. And since the incident happened, I don't want to be a police officer because I can't imagine what you'd have to go through to violate people's rights and ruin families and careers. People that work hard.
Yeah.
Could never do it, and I know there's only a few bad apples here and there, but you don't know what happens until it happens to you or somebody in your family. That's the way I see it,
Well, I'd say there's probably a majority of cops that are good cops.
Yeah.
But if they break ranks, what happens to the good cops if they tell on the bad ones? Same thing.
They're forced to quit, They might get some dirt on them somehow, set them up, or who knows. It's a very tightly knit organization, and it's an organization where they come first and not the citizen. Absolutely not. It's pretty sad.
I have a 60-minute tape, and we're about to the end of it. Thanks, Stephen. We'll talk again.
Anytime.